Hello, I'm Lewis. I'm with Primeline Products. I'm one of the screen dudes here, and I'm going to show you how to rescreen a sliding screen door. And this particular door, Fido decided to go outside on his own without opening up the door, so it's up to us to figure out how to rescreen this. And I'm going to show you some techniques that will make this process pretty easy for you to rescreen this. And you just need some basic tools. Making the assumption not everybody has a real nice table to put this on, so if you're going to put this on your driveway, you might want to put something down to protect the finish on your door. If you're going to be doing this on your dining room table and it's an heirloom, you definitely want to be putting something on there to protect that table. But we're going to do this right on the ground, and this happens to be a shower curtain rod, or off a shower curtain, and that's all you really need. The tools are pretty basic. We have a nail. I'm going to show you how we use this nail. You need a utility knife, screwdriver, a rolling tool, a pair of scissors, and some duct tape. And we also sell from the hardware stores across the country and home centers the screen kits. Some of our screen kits come with just a screen, spline. We have other kits that come with screen, spline, and also the rolling tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out my spot here, and I'm going to show you the first step in rescreening this door. Okay, so now we're ready to start this screening process, and you're probably wondering why I have all these pieces of duct tape on my fingers, but this is really kind of what makes this project a little bit easier for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tape down whatever drop cloth you want to use, and I'm going to tape that down to the floor, and I'm going to do this all the way around the fabric here with the drop cloth, in this case, shower curtain. And what I'm doing is I'm just providing a good surface to work off of, and it'll be a little bit clearer here in just a moment why I'm doing this. Okay, so I have that nice and secure. Now what I need to do is I need to remove the bug seal that's on the door, because the fabric, when it's overlaying on this, it's just going to interfere with it. The bug seal just pulls out of the door channel. And the other thing that I need to do is I need to take the handle off, because if you notice, the handle's right over the area that we're going to be using and removing the spline from. Some doors, it's not necessary to remove the handle, but in this case it is. Okay. Now we're kind of ready to start this whole process. And you're probably wondering what we're going to use a nail for, and I'll show you that in a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape the door down to our drop cloth. So let me get that set up and I'll be right back. Okay, I went ahead and I taped down the door onto our fabric here, and I just put tape around in about 4 or 5 different places here. And that's just to hold the door on here so it doesn't go anywhere when we start to put the screen in. It's not absolutely necessary, but it sure helps hold everything when you're rolling this fabric and spline in together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the spline out, and you're wondering what that nail was for. And the nail's just nothing more. It'll scratch all the work, but a nail works just fine. It's just to pull that spline out of the spline channel. So that's just an inexpensive scratch off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this out. And the only thing I recommend is you just hold on to your frame when you're pulling this out. Just going to go all the way around. And we're going to replace the spline and the fabric at the same time. So we put new spline in so it holds in the fabric. And then the kit that we have, the kits are made so they will rescreen a screen door like this, 36 by 7 feet, or a couple window screens. And we're just going to lay this across the door. And what we're going to do is we're going to overlap the spline channel about an inch on the bottom end of the screen and also on the side. And I'm going to use my technique here of using duct tape again. It just helps you keep this fabric steady when you go to install the spline. This is nothing more than just spot that on and we're ready to go. I'm going to use the spline that came in our kit, and I'm going to start at the bottom. And work across to the other side. So I just start to press in the spline, my thumb. Then on the rolling tool there's two wheels here. One's a convex, one's a concave. The concave is real good for holding itself onto the spline so it doesn't slip off. I'm going to just start in this corner, and I'm just going to roll this in. And if you take little short choppy strokes, it works pretty well as opposed to taking one long stroke. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top of the screen and pull this tension tight, top to bottom. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of pull the fabric. I'm going to set the spline in place. And I'm just going to work my way across the screen. So now I've got that top and bottom. Cut off the excess spline. Then I'm going to go back to this corner and repeat the process all over again. If this wasn't fastened down, it's difficult because you need to hold your frame of the door and watch what you're doing at the same time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go to the other side, and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so now we're just going to finish up on this side. And if you're wondering what the tension is that goes across the screen frame here, you can see it pull, or maybe you can't from the camera, but we'll show you here in a minute. I'm going to purposely put a bobble in here so you can see how you can fix it. If you come into a problem where you don't think you have the right tension, you can pull your spline back out, pull your fabric across again, and just reinsert the spline. Do the same thing here. Okay, so we're looking good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the excess spline, and I'm going to tuck in the corners here, and I'll show you how to tuck in the corners using our screwdriver. Actually, when we trim this spline off, all we do is we just go right where the two meet. And here's a good example that I just want to clean this corner up a little bit. So I can just pull the spline back out, reinsert it, cut off the excess. And I'm just pushing that spline down in the spline channel. And we have to trim all the spline off before we can trim off the excess fabric. So I'll do this on all four corners. And I guess when you get to this point, you're probably wishing that you probably had a table to work on if you had a flat surface available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off this fabric on this edge here. Because I'm right-handed, I'm going to start in the corner here on the bottom, and if you take your utility knife and you bury it into the corner and you rest the blade on top of the spline, you keep your blade in line with the frame so that it doesn't come out into where you might cut the fabric on the screen side. And you just literally rest the blade on the spline. You apply tension against the frame with the blade, and you just take some short strokes across to the other side. And if you just keep that blade buried in the corner, you can pull the fabric around the blade and continue on. And you can see that I have the blade, it's almost in line with the screen frame. Once again, when I get to the corner, if you just keep your blade buried in the corner, you just pull the fabric over the blade. You can see that we didn't have quite as much material on this side, and it was just because of the fabric when we put it onto the frame is a little bit shorter, but it doesn't matter as long as there's an overlap. That's what really counts. And you can see that I'm still keeping that blade almost parallel with the frame. So now we can take off all of our tape that was holding it down, and the only thing that I need to do is reinstall the bug seal and reinstall the handle, and we have one used screen door. And if you have any questions about what I've done, you can visit us on our website, primeline.net. I'll show you the finished product here. So a real nice screen that can be done on the pavement, on your driveway, on a table, and just use the techniques I showed you, and you can do it.